Aloha everyone and welcome to the planet Grom, where we aim to show people the world around them with videos, answering questions, telling stories, and seeing sights on motorcycles. In this episode, we're talking about kids and motorcycles. During a recent impulsive splurge, I subscribed to Iron and Air magazine. It's a pretty cool magazine that's obviously meant to be held on to instead of read and discarded, with great photos, good articles, and an actual spine for binding. Included in one of the issues I got was a pretty large poster from Bell Helmets that, on one side, documented a road trip the company took through California, and, on the other side, a massive picture from their adventure. My daughter, who's 10, loved it and hinted that she wanted it, but nuts to that, it's going to go up in the garage. So she asked what we would do on our road trip, because we both think that 10 years old is nowhere near too early to start planning an epic road trip. Growing up, I never particularly enjoyed road trips with the family and have been thinking about why for a while now, and every reason I didn't enjoy road trips as a kid boiled down to one thing: the car. My dad, a Navy man, lived all over the world and would take vacations and usually fly us to California because it was easiest to get there on the cheap, where we would rent a car and drive to Indiana. That's a long drive. A real long drive. My family consisted of my mom and dad, my brother, and me. For days we would be on the road, and some truths became evident in our travels. Truth number 1, you will be bored regardless of the amount of stuff that you bring. Truth number 2, you have a lower expectation of being polite with the people around you because they're family. Truth number 3, you know exactly how to get under their skin because of your histories. Truth number 4, in an effort to stave off boredom, you begin to irritate each other. My dad never planned on stopping for the night. He would always just drive until he reached that magical junction of, I'm too exhausted to drive anymore, and I'm pretty sure I'll murder at least one person if I have to stay in this car much longer. Then he would find a place to stay for the night, park in the back of the parking lot, go in and get a room just for him, and then sneak us in so he didn't have to pay as much. Good times! With all this in mind, I started to think about what would make a road trip better. The first thing I thought was my own vehicle. Being able to control my own speed and go at my pace, actually driving the vehicle instead of being a passenger at the mercy of someone else's driving, that would be great. Somehow being able to simultaneously be near someone and away from them if they annoy me would also be pretty swell. But being able to just enjoy the process, the journey itself, rather than focusing on the destination and trying to grin and bear my way through the grind along the way, that would probably be the biggest draw. And then it hit me. Motorcycles. Motorcycles tick all the boxes and get rid of all the annoying stuff. You control your own vehicle. You go at your own pace. You could pull off anywhere and take pictures, enjoy sceneries, or just take a break. Have you seen motorcyclists on the side of the road taking pictures? Sure you have. Have you seen a car pulled off the side of the road just enjoying some time and taking pictures before they get back on the road? Hell no, you don't. When a car pulls over, it pulls over for a reason, and it's usually more urgent than a pretty vista. And on motorcycles, if your other travelers are annoying you, speed up, slow down. Meet them at the next agreed upon rendezvous point. And if they're too chatty, just turn off calm. As I thought about this more and more, even more benefits started to creep in. Riding bikes is fun, pure and simple. If you're in control of your own bike simultaneously together, but separate from the people that you're riding with, you have a higher likelihood of enjoying the trip. And if you enjoy the trip, you'll want to do it more. Now, I had already decided that my kids will learn how to ride motorcycles because there's a special breed of terrified that is suddenly there when you're not surrounded by a cage, and this level of fright means that you pay more attention to the drivers around you. Pretend every driver is actively trying to kill you, and you'll probably be a better driver yourself, even if you decide that bikes aren't for you and get a car. This has only helped when you take yourself out of the living room on wheels mentality of today's cars, SUVs, vans, and trucks. So the plan was to enroll the kids in the basic rider course at 15 and a half years. That's the minimum for the course. I would do a lot of parking lot work with them and begin taking short trips on progressively difficult roads where all the training culminates in something like an 8 to 10 day road trip with just me and that child. They would pick where we're going to go, and we would map out how we're going to get there with all back and secondary roads, zero highway stuff. We would stop when they want to take a break or take pictures, and we would have an adventure. And if they like it, we can do it more. We can, as a family, take weekend trips somewhere, overnighters, day trips, even just riding to breakfast across town. Every ride would have them near me, monitoring their progress as a rider, and both of us would be getting more comfortable with the idea of them on motorcycles. And these road trips wouldn't have to stop when they leave the house either. Personally, I don't want to ride in the backseat of a car on another road trip, ever. But I would totally be down for riding bikes with relatives somewhere. Maybe my kids will share that sentiment. And when they come home on break from college or on vacation and just want to get away for a bit, we can go on road trips somewhere. Anywhere. Even if it's just a ride to clear your head and enjoy the scenery and the sound of the wind for a bit. My daughter said that she's willing to start out on a Grom, but she wants a Honda Rebel 300 because she likes the more aggressive cruiser style it has, and she says it looks more comfortable. But these trips, I think they would have more benefits than just adventures, fun pictures from the road, and alone time with your kid. I think this would strengthen the bond in the family and mitigate the sometimes harsh separation that happens around the time that a kid leaves the house. My rationale here is that as you, the parent, mentor your young rider, they become something of a peer, rider-wise, and you gradually begin to shift roles on the road from parent to riding buddy. On the road, at least. Now, this might be a bitter pill to swallow, but both of us are going to need that transition at some point, and having something that we can do together that embodies a level of independence like motorcycling does, that's a perfect vessel to switch roles from authority to mentor, because you should want your kid to want to come to you for advice instead of trying to force your rules and outlook on them beyond the years where that's really effective. Because the end goal is to raise a decent human who can function on their own, and you can't always be the authority. Besides, would you really want that? When I think of my kids growing up, I kind of don't want them to just roll with whatever anybody who claims to be an authority to them says. I want them to think critically about what's going on and whether it's actually a good thing to do. I want them to appropriately question their authorities. I mean, there's definitely a time to be an authority in a kid's life. You have to teach them how to be a good person. But eventually you have to let them be the person that they're going to be, and there's a point where trying to force yourself is only going to result in them feeling frustrated and wanting to lash out or run away. If you gradually relax and shift from authority to mentor, they should being the emphasis here, appreciate it and meet you on this awkward journey. Perhaps just flat out talking about it would help. Maybe it's like bicycles, right? Where you can ride with a small kid behind you on a bike, but then it's all about training wheels and teaching them how to ride safely and correctly before you take the training wheels off, but you still hold on until it's time to release them into the wild of bike riding. Yeah, I like that metaphor. But who knows? When I didn't have kids, I had all sorts of opinions about parenthood that turned out to be just, oh my God, so misinformed. They were the most ridiculous opinions that anyone could have. But then, when I was the parent of a baby, my ideas and opinions on older kids were also wrong. I have definitely been stung by this in the past, so I'll say that this is probably also wrong, but it's still kind of something that I'm hoping for. Anyway, all of the reasons that make motorcycles great road trip vehicles is the same reason they make great transitional metaphors for being an adult. What are my daughter and I going to do on our first road trip? What would we put on the back of our hypothetical poster? Hopefully, we'll make some great memories and start a, fingers crossed, slow, smooth transition into adulthood that will mitigate the drama between now and then. That's what we're gonna do. So what do you guys think? Are you gonna teach your kids how to ride? Are you even gonna let them ride? I'm super curious because I know motorcycles are pretty divisive when it comes to the old offsprings. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And until next time, mahalo nui loa.